Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Banda. Thank you for the introduction, Adam. That was wonderful. I'm an ACE alumnus, a believer in the American dream, and a university graduate who has learned that I am capable of far more than I once thought possible. Last time I spoke on behalf of ACE Scholarships, the theme was saving the American student. I am that American student, and I'm here today to share my story, to share a new perspective about life, education, and the pursuit of happiness. Every time I come up on a stage, I get this giddy feeling of excitement. But with it comes something not so pleasant, a very familiar feeling, fear. Fear of being judged, fear of embarrassment, and below that, the fear of not being enough. I bet that at some point in your life, you could relate. But here's one of the most valuable lessons I've learned in my life journey so far. There's one thing standing between most people and the life of their dreams. That one thing is fear. So I'm choosing courage over fear today, and I'm thankful to be here. Now let me tell you about my parents. They're both from Mexico. A college education was never within their grasp, but they wanted it to be for me and my 5 siblings. I never saw my dad much in my early years. He always worked long hours every single day to provide for me and my large family. My parents were always trying to get us into a good school. My mom even enrolled me in private kindergarten, but I was turned away despite passing the entrance exam because my English wasn't good enough. This was the beginning of a long stretch of feeling like I didn't belong. For high school, my parents wanted me to go to a private Catholic school called Holy Family. And even though I worked every year of my high school career, we could have never afforded it without my ACE scholarship. This wonderful gift didn't just open the door to a good school. It opened the door to an entire world of possibility. However, it didn't seem that way to me at first. My freshman year, I suffered from a lot of anxiety. Honestly, I didn't have that many friends. And I was surrounded by kids who were a lot more financially secure than me. I felt like I didn't belong there. From my perspective at the time, they lived completely different lives. I remember that same year after Christmas break, my peers shared Christmas stories about their vacations, the gifts they'd received. I sat there quietly, and I thought about the 3 gifts that I had received as donations from the church. It felt as though poverty was a thing that was only happening to me. I could never be like these other kids. I had a belief that they could never relate to me because of our different backgrounds. Now, I want to share something with you that you may or may not understand. When you grow up in a poor community, you get what are called limiting beliefs. It's a story you tell yourself about who you are that limits what you can and cannot do. For example, my belief that nobody could relate to me or my background was a limiting belief. When you grow up poor, you don't think it's possible to do big things, and nobody expects you to. So it's very easy to strive for less. Another limiting belief. While at Holy Family, I learned that the stories and beliefs that we tell ourselves control most of the decisions that we make in life. So if we can break these beliefs and form new beliefs, we can do just about anything. Since I didn't have many friends, I did some research. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'd love to recommend you all to read the book, but I'm sure most of you already have. The book might be 88 years old, but it's still pure gold. So I started making friends and lifting weights to build discipline and confidence. And through this process, I came to understand that I could relate to those with completely different backgrounds and experiences. Breaking this one limiting belief has impacted my life and my relationships more than any amount of money or resources could have ever done. After high school, I went to Colorado University in Boulder to study computer science. I worked full-time at a startup my sophomore year, and I learned a ton. My junior year, I did an internship at a small online bookstore. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Amazon. There I learned that I want to do something bigger than just be a cog in the wheel. So I tried my hand at being an entrepreneur and built a technology startup company with my college friends, and I learned a ton more. And then I graduated from college, which most importantly made my parents extremely proud. Now I'm a full-time software engineer at the 5th largest company in the world. I bought my first investment property this year, and I'm building a brand and podcast called Carrots and Sticks. Carrots and Sticks is centered around living courageously through radical honesty, accountability, and vulnerability. Through it, I can share my perspective and inspire others with similar backgrounds who feel overlooked. And now that I've met some of you and heard your amazing insights and stories, I might be reaching out to have you share those on my podcast. I have nothing but gratitude for the donors at ACE, the staff, and the founders for living courageously and taking a chance on a kid like me. Without ever knowing who I was, not knowing what I would do with their gift of generosity, not seeing the return on their investment for years. They gave freely and took a bet on the impact of school choice. It paid off. All of these people inspire me every day to have courage, to give without expectation, and to live as honestly and vulnerable as I can every single day. Thank you for helping me turn my limiting beliefs into unlimited belief about what's possible. I'm here to tell you that ACE's brand new campaign is absolutely true. As you can see by my life, changing education changes everything. Thank you.